Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Robot Damashii, or Robot Spirits, Evangelion EVA-01 test type, or AVA or EVA. I've heard a bunch of people say it different ways. I don't know. I haven't watched the show in ages, honestly, and I don't remember. Anyway, it's our number 058 if you're looking for it, and this is probably one of the most impressive, at least impressively articulated figures that I've seen in a very long time. It's a really good figure all the way around. I'm very, very pleased with this guy. So I think it'd be best to just get him off the stand so we can take a closer look right away. So let's do that. This figure stands just about 16 centimeters to the top of the head, about 16 and a half to the top of the shoulder piece, which makes it just about 6 1/4, a little over 6 1/4 to the top of the head, and about 6 1/2 to the top of the shoulder piece. Of course, that's mostly straight up and down. You could get the head a little bit higher, and you can definitely hunch it over a whole bunch, so those are just general estimates for the height. As far as the general look of the figure, the paint job is pretty darn good. All of the purple is molded plastic, so that's really uniform, of course. All of the green is painted, but it's painted really well, and it stands out really nicely up against the black and the purple, so I particularly like that green paint job. It looks really, really nice, especially when it has the panel lining of black on there. Then we do have some of the orangish yellow on there, which is painted, and some of the black is molded, some of it's painted. It all looks really good. The paint job is very matte, so it's very uniform up against the molded plastic. I think it looks really, really nice. They did a good job of balancing the molded plastic with the painted parts. And then we have some detail work up here in the torso and head, which is also done really nicely. You can see the red and silver on the chest. And then the face is just painted really nicely also. Very pleased with the general appeal of this figure. It's really, really well done, and I like it a whole bunch. There's the back shot real quick. Let's look at the accessories though, because we do have a whole bunch. The first one I'll show you, I guess, is the head. Let's start with that. That's the standard head, and the only thing that makes the alternate head interchangeable or different is the open mouth, which is really well done. I like it. I think it looks nice. So that's a good thing. We have that. As far as this piece right here, we do have some interchangeable ones. As you can see, this one's bendy, or at least it's flexible. It's not actually like wired or anything. We have hard versions of that, rigid version. So it's completely up to you. Personally, I don't see the benefit of using the rigid version just because it's more prone to breaking. So you're better off just using the flexible ones. See, we have one for this one, flexible. Then we have these two, which, like I said, there's really no reason to swap them in because they can break. So I don't get it. But that's okay. Now, we do have a bunch of interchangeable hands. You can see the two hands that are on the figure are these kind of open palm hands, and those are the ones that come on the figure in the package, so you get those. And then you also get a whole bunch of other ones. You get kind of a relaxed style pose hand, a really open style posed hand, two trigger finger / gripping hands, two fist hands, another trigger finger hand, which I don't really see the benefit for because the other two can handle the guns or the knives. And then we have two other hands which are specifically for one of the other accessories, which we'll get to, and they can also be used as a secondary hand for the guns. So then we also get the two guns, which are particularly good. These guys have, I mean, it's not an incredible amount of paint work, but they are painted nicely and sculpted nicely. So we have those. Then we have the two knives that I mentioned, or knives. I said knives. They have silver on them and red and gunmetal and black, so that looks really good. And then we have the umbilical, which pegs in or plugs into the back. Goes all the way back here, which is nice. You can peg it in. And this is all bendable, which would be cool if you had anywhere to put it, but you don't. So it's kind of an odd accessory, and it's just cut off at the end. So it's very strange that they gave you this without having even a display stage to connect it to, but it is there. Then the last accessory we have is this, which if you're familiar with the show, you know what it is. He sticks his hands in there and kind of opens it up, and that's what these two hands are for, and you'll see that in the photo. This is all translucent plastic. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. All translucent plastic with painted detail. Unfortunately, the dot matrix effect is a little obvious on the paint job. And here's the thing, the display piece, you have to kind of put it together. You see those little white dots on that rectangle piece? Those are pegs that actually hold it together, and they come apart incredibly easily, which is totally problematic. Anytime you try to touch that thing, it falls apart. It does have a cool little display stand, like a honeycomb pattern, but as soon as you're trying to pose anything, you're going to deal with that. So good luck. You'll see in the photos. I'll get it for the photos, but I'm not going to do it on camera because it'll just keep falling apart over and over again. Alright, for the rest of the review, let's talk about the articulation, because it's fairly basic, but it's exceptionally well executed for the most part. So the head is on a ball hinge, but the ball hinge allows for really nice range of motion, and obviously you can rotate it around in any direction you want. And then the neck is on a ball peg, probably a single, but it could be a double. But you can really move that head however you want to. No problems at all. So that's really, really nice. These shoulder pads are on little ball pegs connected to the torso, so that could get in the way a little bit of posing the arms. It'd be probably better if they were connected to the shoulder somehow, but it's not bad. They're okay. And then for the shoulder, we have a ball peg that goes into the torso that lets the entire thing move around. This big round piece right here is just a floating piece to hide the joint. Then we have our actual ball hinge, which lets the shoulder move out to the side, which gives you good range. And of course, it rotates all the way around. So the shoulders have really nice range. These guys might get in the way, but I wouldn't really worry about it. You have your bicep swivel built in, which is really nice, and it hides behind the shoulder cap, so that's good. Single jointed elbow, but you get better than 90 degrees, and they can rotate around, so you get pretty much all the posability you could want there. We have a ball hinge for the wrist, which actually gives you really nice range, and you rotate that around both ends, of course. For the torso, it's really complex in the torso, and I'm going to try to cover everything, but I might forget a single bit. But just pay attention to how I move the figure, and you'll see how it works. We have a ball peg going into the torso, or into the upper torso. Then we have a ball hinge here, another hinge at the bottom, which is connected by a ball peg, and then another ball peg at the bottom. I think that's it. This is kind of a floating piece. Anyway, you can move it around like that at the top. You can move it around like that at the bottom, and then you have two hinges built in below there so that you can get it to bend all the way over, and it really doesn't look bad. I mean, sure, you can kind of see inside, but since it's a mech, it doesn't really matter that much, and it does lean pretty far back, and again, it looks pretty nice. And you're gonna have to kind of finagle it to lean it to the sides, but you can a little bit, so it'll be okay. It can get tricky once you start rotating things around. It's going to be kind of problematic to get them back, but just put a little bit of time into it and you'll be able to get a ton of posability out of this torso. Just be aware that once you start rotating things, you might have a little difficulty getting them back. For the hips, it's kind of an interesting design. We have this piece that actually looks like the hip that just rotates around. It's a swivel, goes all the way forward like that, and then all the way back like that. So that's really good. And then this, you would expect to be a hinge kind of like the Awakening Goku or most of the Kamen Riders, and it kind of is. You have the hinge, which looks actually like a hinge, which is only problematic in this pose. It looks kind of weird like that. But that hinge is also on a swivel and a little bit of a ball peg, so you can move it around kind of a lot. But look what you can do with this hip. You can bring it all the way up like that, and then bring the leg all the way down. How many figures can bunch up like that? I don't think I've ever seen one. And it looks good doing it. You can really get this figure in any kind of pose you want with really no problem. It's just kind of ugly when you go for the splits, as you can see on this leg right here. So I'm particularly impressed. It is sometimes tricky to get that to swivel back down. I don't know why. It gets kind of stuck. So be careful you don't break anything, which I might have. No, I didn't break it. I'm just kidding. It's fine. But yeah, be careful because that hinge part is a little fragile probably, but you get really incredible range out of those hips. Really, really impressive, and you get your thigh swivel out of that. Also, double jointed knee gives you full range. Can't really do better than that, and it's not super ugly. It's all right. And it does technically rotate at the top, so that's kind of useful. And now for the ankles, this ankle guard is pegged on, so it'll get out of the way if you need it to. We have a proper hinge going forward and back. It can pop off, so don't worry, it won't break. So a proper hinge going forward and back, and then you have a true ankle rocker also. So again, really good range of motion, and really stiff, nicely executed toe hinge. All around, this figure can pretty much do whatever you want it to do, short of making you your lunch. I mean, the articulation is really good. If I can peg this back on, that'd be fantastic. All right, so there you go. It's great. It's a really good figure. I've heard people complain about the molded plastic up against the paint. I think it looks fine. If you're a Robot Damashii collector or an action figure collector, you won't even notice anything. It looks really, really, really good. I recommend it 100%. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every day. Action figures, custom figures, video games, TV, movies, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you subscribe. And in the meantime, keep collecting.